Okay, this is the linear functions review part 2. Start off with this word problem. Giselle pays $240 in advance on her account at the athletic club. So she starts off with $240, and then each time she uses the club, $15 is deducted. So she's going to lose $15 each time she uses the club. Let's let X stand for the number of times she uses the club. So 240 minus 15x will be equal to y, and that's going to be basically the amount of money in the account, in her account. And let's go with in her account. So the linear function is y equals negative 15x plus 240 in standard form. In slope-intercept form, sorry. When x is 0, she has 240. When x is 1, she's down to 225. When x is 2, she's down to 210. It does exactly what we need it to do. 240 is the y-intercept and negative 15 is the slope. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the line through the given point with the given slope. So our point is 8, 3. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We know the m. It's equal to 6. And what we do is we take the point as the x and the y. And so 3 should be equal to 6 times 8 plus b. And then we find out what b is. 6 times 8 is 48. Our job is to get b by itself, so we take away 48 from both sides. If you have 3 and you take away 48, you have a negative 45. And that's what b is. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, knowing that m is 6, we get y equals 6x minus 45. Find the x and y intercepts of the line. And so we're setting x equal to 0. It's like, maybe let me do just a little chart here. When x is 0, we want to find y, and when y is 0, we want to find x. Okay. And so when x is 0, this equation then becomes 2y equals 24. And we divide by 2 to get that y is equal to 12. When y is 0, this equation becomes negative 4x equals 24. Divide by negative 4 to get that x is equal to negative 6. So negative 6, 0 as a coordinate written like that, that's your x-intercept. And 0, 12 written in that format, ordered pair format, is your y-intercept. Okay. This next one is just a little more complicated because of the fractions involved, but it's the same process though. Consider yourself like making a chart, setting each one separately equal to 0 and figuring out the other one. At x equals 0, we have negative 4y equals 7. So it doesn't come out nice, but as an integer value, that's okay though. We get the fact that y is, let's call it negative 7/4. And then if y is 0, it's just as bad. We have negative 7/5 of x equals to 7. So we would times this by 5/7 let's go with timesing by negative 5/7. Oh, this one works out nice though, I guess. You get everything to cancel out and get your x by itself, and then the 7's cancel here to get -5. So the point -5, 0 is your x-intercept, and the point 0, -7/4 is your y-intercept. Okay, set each one separately equal to 0 and solve for the other. Another word problem. A paint store sells exterior paint for $35.75 a gallon and paint rollers for $6 each. Write an equation in standard form for the number of gallons of paint, P, the number of rollers, R, that a customer could buy with $190. So we have $35.75, and that's for every gallon of paint. That's called P. And then we add on to that $6 for every roller, R. And then that's going to total to the $190. Equation in standard form. Standard form is AX plus BY equals to C. I'm going to go with that. I think it is. So this is actually it. Maybe lose the dollar signs. 35.75p, 6R added to that is 190. That's the line that represents, that's the equation that represents that line, that linear function that comes from this word problem. Another, a video store rents DVDs for $3.75 each and video games for $4 each. Write the equation in standard form for the number of DVDs. D, I'm sorry, yeah, that's right. Like, what is this D doing here? D is like the represents the number of DVDs. That's a variable D. And the video games, G, I should have italicized them, that a customer can rent with $18. So that we have $3.75 times the number of DVDs, $4 times the number of video games, and that's going to be equal to the $18. You can lose a decimal point. I mean, you can lose the dollar signs and just go with 375D plus 4G equals 18. Standard form because you have the variables together on the left-hand side and the constant on the, without the variable, that is on the right-hand side. Okay, now we switch gears from these word problem types and we go back to lines again, just to graphing and understanding slope, but special lines. The line y equals -2. Notice that there's no mention of x in the equation. You take that to mean that x can be anything you want it to be. Every point on this line must have the y value equal to -2. So that point there on the y-axis, -2, that's a point. Any of these guys, x can be anything. It doesn't even have to be on a grid point. Anything where the y value is -2, and let me try to freehand draw it. It's not the best at this, but there we go. That is the equation, this graph. This is called a horizontal line. Y equals to some constant k. It'll always have this kind of a look to it. With the other one here, we have no mention of y at all in the equation. you take that to mean that y can be anything you want it to be. But x is stuck on 1. Every point has to have an x value of 1. But y can be anything you want it to be. You can go up and down from there. All right, I'm going to be bad at drawing this, so I'm going to do my best though. It isn't a curved line, you know, it isn't a curve, it's just a line, but my freehand drawing is making it look like a curve, sorry. Okay, this kind of line is called a vertical line. And it has equation x equal to some constant. Okay. All right, now we want to graph the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 2x minus 3 means that in front of the x in this format is the slope, and out here is the intercept. You hit the y-axis at negative 3, and what the slope is, I want you to take it to think of directions on how to make another point. It's the rise over run. It's not a fraction, but you can turn it into a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it. And so when it's negative, that means that you go down however many. So this is 2. And then for the denominator, you're always going to go to the right. So you're going to go to the right 1. This is instructions on how to make another point. Go down 2 and to the right 1. Go down 2 and to the right 1 if you wanted to continue doing this. And your line should go through those points. Another feeble attempt to try to draw a freehand line. Sorry. Oh, it looks terrible. Oh man, I can't do it. This tablet is failing me miserably. Let me try to use my mouse instead. Is that much better? Yeah, that's easy to do at least. Okay, there we go. Great. Next line, we have 4x minus 3. So slope is now 4, and the y-intercept is the same, negative 3. So you go down 3 on the y-axis. That's where you cross at. M is equal to 4. Not a fraction, but you can make it a fraction by putting a 1 underneath. And then, because it's positive, we'll be going up that amount. And then we're always going to, in the denominator, be going to the right. So we're going to go up 4 and right 1 to make another point on the line. Just count up 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't make a dot. Don't plot the point there. You make sure you finish the directions out and go over 1. And if you want to do it again, up 4 over 1. So, wait, I lost the point there. There we go. And then it's our job to connect the dots. Let me go back to my mouse and try this out. Oh man, I'm going to be terrible at this. Well, that's pretty good actually. The mouse draws it really well. Anyway, yep, that's the line. Slope-intercept form, graph the line. All right. And then finally, we have what is the slope of the given line here. Oh, this should not be there, sorry. That's a cut and paste mistake there. So what we have is this line. It's a horizontal line. First we notice that. When you have a horizontal line, it's y equals to some constant. Every point on this line has the same y value. In this case, that's a 1. And so the equation of the line is y equals 1. They don't want the equation though, unfortunately. They want the slope. When you have a horizontal line, the rise over run, think about it, as I go from one point to the next, I don't rise at all. The rise is equal to 0, and the run is anything you want it to be. Okay, and what I just drew, I had a run of 5. Is that a run of 5? Yeah. So when you do the slope as rise over run, what you're going to get out is 0 over 5, and any 0 divided by any constant is going to be 0. So a horizontal line will have slope of 0 and have equation y equals to some constant. This other guy here, it's hard to tell who's the x-axis, who's the y-axis. Let's go with that being the y-axis. This other guy here is a vertical line. And we saw how they have equations. X equals to some constant. All these points on this line have x equal to the same amount. In this case, x equals 1 is the equation of the line. They want us to find the slope of the line. And let's think about rise over run here. The rise, as you go from one point to the next, let's go with these 2 points. My rise, I think I've drawn it to be equal to 4. But my run is 0. You can't divide by 0. And so, if you try to divide by 0, it's called being undefined. And so, can't do that. That's an undefined concept. So, for a vertical line, your slope is undefined. Okay, great.